Okie doke. So we did increasing, decreasing, and constant. The next thing we're going to look at are these relative maximums and minimums. And so I will mark relative max. So this could be a few. And relative min. This could be a few. So we'll leave space for a couple of these. We'll talk about how to notate it also. Let's actually start with the minimums. You can sort of see pretty distinctly, right? These are going to be our low points. So the low points here, there are sort of two pretty obvious and distinct kind of mirror image like troughs happening, right? These sort of low valley points. So that's at x is -2 and x is +2. The y-coordinates on both of these is 0. So we can label these two different ways. We can sort of obviously just label them as coordinates, -2, 0, and right, +2, 0. So these are xy points, right, not intervals. Obviously the notation here is essentially the same as if it was an interval, but hopefully via context this is okay. The other thing we could say is we could say at x equals -2, there is a min value of 0. And so what we're doing there is we're identifying, right, the x value where the minimum happens, and then the minimum value itself is 0, right? The height is 0. So we could also say at x equals +2, we have a min value of 0, right? So just sort of taking these two coordinates and just sort of writing them in a slightly different way. The homework looks a little bit more like these second two, but obviously there's like a couple different ways that we could be sort of explaining this information. The maximums, right? So these were our minimums here and here. I guess I should include this little REL, right? So relative. It's not, well, I guess in this case, those are the two lowest points on the entire function. The maximums are a little bit different, right? I'm going to do the more obvious one first, right, which would be this sort of peak point. This would be sort of a relative max. We don't have really a relative maximum over here, right? So we need some point that's the highest point in its neighborhood, the highest point of like the surrounding points. This just sort of increases forever, so there's no individual like highest coordinate, even though it gets, right, higher in value than this particular point. So this for us, right, would be 0, 3. That's our y-intercept, and it also happens to be a relative maximum. So again, we can sort of write 0, 3, and we can say sort of at x equals 0, max value of 3. The other one that I suppose we'll include is this sort of endpoint, right? You know, the function just kind of ends in some sense, but I mean that is the highest point in its neighborhood. So we'll include that as well. So for us, that's going to happen at x is -4, and then the height again is 3. So this would be -4, 3, and we'll say at x equals -4, max value of +3. Tests and quizzes, if you either write the like xy coordinate, or if you just give me the x value, right? All of our x values are unique. If this is a function, meaning they're not showing up more than once, there isn't any kind of ambiguity about our x values and sort of what the locations are. Don't give me the height values, right? Because height values can get repeated and show up more than once. So use the x values to identify any of these points. That's my suggestion. So that for us is going to be on this graph, relative maximums and relative minimums. Increasing, decreasing, constant is over here. So that's our new stuff. This is all new stuff for 2.2.